All right. Hey, everyone.
Hey,
Good afternoon, good grand rising, good day, good evening, wherever you are, whatever is appropriate. We are here, you know, on this Giving Tuesday with our great brother, incredible organizer, grassroots organizer, community leader, activist, Samuel, Papa Samuel. Uh, I'm really without further ado. I mean, we've got a lot to cover today. Uh, for those who know or don't know, really, for everyone involved, Brother Samuel is a community organizer from the heart of Congo, and he's here today to share a couple of things around the impact that this kind of work, if you're looking at this on social media, you understand that a big thing that we're talking about, especially during this giving season, is fundraising for our partners on the ground and the incredible work that they're doing. Brother Samuel is one of the leaders of one of the organizations who we're talking about when we're talking about our partners on the ground. He's the representative for the GOVA organization, and he's going to talk today about a few things. Right, GOVA is organizing. It's a network of over 400 villages in the heart of the Congo Basin Rainforest. It's at the heart. For those of you who know, Congo Basin Rainforest is at the heart of the climate crisis. It's the second lungs of the earth. So he's going to share some stuff about that. There's also flooding happening, regularly. That's in large part, what do we call it? Climate change based. It's rooted in climate change. It's climate disaster that's coming from this man-made climate change that's happening. That's our activities are accelerating. So he's going to share some stuff about that. And he's also going to share about the impact that it actually has when people like you who are watching engage and donate and support the work. He's going to talk about the work that GOVA does and what kind of impact it has when Friends of the Congo is able to support that work. And keeping in mind, we're only able to support that work insofar as ordinary people engaging, see fit, and find value in supporting this work. So, I've gone on long enough. Also, when Brother Maurice gets here, he'll jump in as well. But I hand the floor over to you, my esteemed elder, Brother Samuel Yagase. It's great to see you here. Thank you for being here. Brother Samuel.
oh yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the micro today, giving me for giving me the opportunity to talk to you, and thank you very much. I would like to start by there. Thank you very much for your incredible work about supporting the organization at the grassroots level in the Congo, like mine, like GOVA. And first of all, I would like to, on behalf of the community, on behalf of our organization, I would like to express my deep gratitude, to Friends of the Congo and to everyone who is supporting Friends of the Congo, because what we are doing at the grassroots level, it's thanks to the support we are getting from Friends of the Congo. So before anything, I would like to express that gratitude. Yeah, as you can imagine, uh, we are relying on Friend of the Congo about the work we are doing at a different level and in different villages. I can share with you some information. Um, First of all, the context in which we are working is, dominated by two major issues. First of all, about the armed conflict in the eastern part of the Congo and also in Kisangani town. And secondly, the community is impacted by the consequences of the climate change in terms of flooding, especially in the Isangi territory. Yeah, and regarding both the armed conflict and the consequences of the climate change, we have a lot of internal displaced people, and we got support from friends of the Congo, trying to to support those people in distress, in need, because most of them have lost almost everything in different camps in Iskisangani, mostly because of the armed conflict, and in Isangi because of the consequences of the climate change. So, thanks to the support we get from Friends of the Congo, we are trying to support thousands of internal refugees by giving food, medicines, and secondhand clothes, and even sport activities for the youth. And it's very important. I wanted to mention one important thing, because now we are going through the dynamic of searching peace, because it's not only issue of giving food or medicines or second-hand clothes to the internal displaced people, but these people have to go back to their lands. We are negotiating with local authorities, the police, the army, and every stakeholders to stick together and try to see how we can bring the peace to these people, to allow them to go to their different places, different villages, and continue their work in terms of agriculture or breeding activities. That's one thing we are trying to do with the support of Friends of the Congo. And now in Kisangani town, we have more than 100,000 internal refugees. It's not easy. We are promoting the solidarity at both levels, internal levels and external one, trying to mobilize people internally, like in Isangi, asking people to support what we call the community fund, as we are organizing a regular monthly meeting to ask people to contribute a little bit. Mostly it's less than $1 given by people, by family, and so on. And with the money, we are supporting internal displaced people, by buying medicines, food, and secondhand clothes, as I said. And now we are supporting health centers, thanks to the support we get from Friends of the Congo. We are supporting more than 20 health centers to allow people to get treated when they are sick, because people have lost almost everything, fleeing their villages, fleeing the armed conflict, fleeing the consequences of the climate change in terms of flooding. They have nothing, so they are relying on the solidarity. So that solidarity has to come from inside, locally, and also from outside, thanks to the work, the advocacy Friend of the Congo is doing on our behalf. So more than 20 health centers are getting medicines to treat sick people, because they are facing epidemics like cholera, diarrhea, malaria, and so on, even the sleeping sickness. So thanks to your support, to Friends of the Congo, you can't imagine what you are doing to people here, the impact of your generosity, to save lives, um, thousands miles away from the US. Yeah. And and another aspect I would like to mention, thanks to the support getting from Friends of the Congo, is um, about the community radio. It's very important, that tool of communication to raise, the grassroots voice. So we are running a community radio based in Tolau, which is called Mabele Radio. It's a community radio with a program designed by the community, with the journalists coming from different villages in the community. So first of all, the radio is playing a very critical role to fight arbitrary arrests, to improve the governance, to mobilize people to protect the forest, the rivers, and the biodiversity, or to do some environmental work. So the community radio is very critical. And thanks to Friend of the Congo, we are sending journalists to different villages to mobilize people, and to allow them to plant trees and protect the forest, to avoid bushfires and so on, and to avoid to cut trees for getting fruit, or to cut trees for getting caterpillars. So the community radio is very critical. The third action I would like to mention is the youth mobilization. What we are doing is very critical, and we can't make critical change without the real involvement of the youth, you know. And to save Africa, to save the Congo, to save our provinces or territories, we need to build on the youth. We need to mobilize youth, to have them as our allies. So what we are doing with the support we get from a Friend of the Congo is to organize like sports activities. Why sports? Just because sport is the best way of mobilizing people in our area. I know it's sport or dance activities, so they are the best way. For now, we are organizing sports like soccer, football, volleyball, table tennis, badminton. Of course, we are just operating in few villages, but we would like to go to different big villages and even towns to mobilize, to have a greater critical critical mass. So the youth mobilization is very important. Apart from sport activities about the youth, we are also working on the youth library, community library for the youth, to allow them to read, to understand, and not with any kind of books, but to promote nationalism, to promote Pan-Africanism, to promote internationalism, and with specific authors, like when we look at Africa, like Lumumba, books about Lumumba philosophy, Kwame Nkrumah, Sankara, Che Guevara. So there are many. So the youth library is very, very critical to mobilize people, to mobilize the youth ideologically. Um, yeah, that's some few activities we are doing. Unless you, I know we are doing a lot. If you have more, we have another question, I can elaborate.
Yes, I mean, just so again, I just want to, for everyone who's listening, for everyone who's watching this right now or at some other point in time, just take in all of that. Take a moment to process all of it, because Brother Samuel, you just shared a lot, a lot. I mean, I think it can be difficult for people to understand one, the orientation of Friends of the Congo as providing support, right? A lot of people think, oh, we're going to help Congo by providing charity, and that's not what we're doing, right? Like, for those of y'all who are listening, Brother Samuel just went down this list of three main things that has an impact on thousands to hundreds of thousands of people. And the primary agents of this work are the people on the ground, right? Like he said, it's grassroots movement. So when we're talking about the armed conflict in Kisangani and the consequences of climate change, we got brother, Maurice here. Peace, 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 brother Maurice. Oh, he just left. He just left. He'll be back soon. When we're talking about the and handling that internal displacement crisis, right? It's the people on the ground who are doing that work. When we're talking about the community radio and the impact that that has on, like brother Samuel mentioned, fighting arbitrary arrests, mobilizing communities to protect the forests, towards this sense of ecological stewardship and responsibility. That's the local people, right? We're talking about the youth mobilization. The youth are local, and the people who are mobilizing the youth are local. And it's just, it's worth noting and really taking in that this is work that Congolese people are doing, right? And like he said, there's two fronts, right? There's the internal work that is local, and then there's the external work, which is where we come in, right? Our role is to support that work. It's to provide those resources. Um, and I guess my question for you, brother Samuel, would be kind of in that sense, right? Like, when we're providing resources, because you've mentioned all of these things, you've mentioned the medicine, you've mentioned providing food and clothing, medical supplies, we've got the radio, we've got all of the different youth initiatives that are happening, all of the different initiatives to make the situation for refugees better, right? To advocate for peace so that they can even return to their homes. One of my questions, because a lot of people don't, I rather, I think it's really easy to overlook, to not even consider all of the hidden costs that go into these things. It's not just buying food, it's not just buying supplies, it's not just this and that. It's also the transportation that's needed to logistically get things from point A to point B. I've seen pictures and videos of y'all building bridges so you can even cross these. And people who are watching, like, when we're talking about the infrastructure of Congo, it's historically been an infrastructure of extraction. So if you're in the West and you're used to highways and streets, paved streets, and cars to get you everywhere that you need to go, it's really easy to take for granted how much, like, you have to be on a boat for 6 hours to get to, the next town that might be like 20 miles away, right? Here we would just drive and be there in 15 minutes, right? Here you got to get on a boat, go 6 hours, and then you've got to get on. So there's just a lot of challenges logistically Brother Samuel, I'm curious as to, I mean, what are those challenges? What do they look like? What are the biggest expenses that you find? You know, like I mean, there's just any number of things. You know, I know gas in and of itself is expensive. Um, there's so many things. So, just how would you handle that question?
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very much, brother Kwaja, for your beautiful question, and thank you for mentioning the transportation. You know, a challenge. It's a very, very big challenge. Most of the thing we can get them in the Kisangani town, and like from Kisangani to go to Tolao, it's like 180 kilometers. So you need to travel by river from Kisangani to Isangi. It takes like 6 hours, um, with a motorized pirogue, you know, from Kisangani to Isangi. And then we have to negotiate with the oil factories, both in Imbolo, to get tractors. We have to pay for the tractors. It takes like 200 or 300, um, uh, the equivalent in terms of American dollars. But from Kisangani to Isangi, buying fuel, like now, 1 liter of petrol, just one, it's like it's around $10 right now. So, and we need like 200 liters. So you can't imagine. We had like we got the support from Friend of the Congo, the rice hallers, to take it to the village. The bridges are broken mostly because of the flooding as the consequences of the climate change. So we are now obliged to build the bridges for the tractor to pass and for the women to go to the market, as the road is completely broken and the infrastructure in the Congo, especially in rural area, is almost totally absent. So we have to face that challenges to build the road for the tractor of Busira, for the tractor of Imbolo to pass and to go to Lao. And from there, to take the medicines to different villages, sometimes by motorbike and going through water, you know, transporting the motorbike, transporting the bag of medicines by hand, to allow you to cross the big rivers. So it's not easy. Yeah, people are committed. The situation on the ground is not easy in terms of transportation, and especially because of this road between Tolau and Isangi, we are obliged now to continue with that new project of repairing bridges. There are there are many, around 20 bridges. So we are going to do it little by little so that we can get at least a very acceptable road for the tractor to pass and our motorbike to allow us um, to continue our work with less difficulties. So thank you again for mentioning that very, very big challenge we are facing. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's what many would call a Herculean task. And again, if you're listening, also if you're listening, feel free to comment. You can comment on whatever platform you're listening on. If you have questions for Brother Samuel, feel free to ask them. But yeah, it is no, I don't know, it's just so easy for us to take for granted in the West. Anyone who lives anywhere where paved roads are, like, you look outside your window and you see them, it's easy to take for granted how much of an undertaking this is. this whole work is. And like you said, people are committed. That's the whole thing in a nutshell, right? Is Congolese people working to support Congolese people, right? The level of engagement that's necessary for this kind of community mobilization is it's remarkable. I saw a tweet. We don't even need to get to that. One question I have, I suppose another one is, I know last year at this time of the year, you mentioned that because of the fundraiser that we were doing a year ago, at least one of the trips, and I can only imagine it's happened several times since then, but there was a village that you visited where there were three women who were on the verge of death. And then because of the funds that Friends of the Congo was able to send from this December fundraiser in 2023, you're able to deliver the medicines to that village and those women were saved. You know,
Exactly.
can you talk about that? Can you describe like what was that like when you got to the village? What were the women, how did they feel? Just what was that whole process like?
Yeah, it's some very, very interesting stories when we went to the village and found the three women, they were like totally discouraged, well, with very, very big wounds. And the health centers, all health centers of the area were totally empty without any single tablets. So they were desperate, and thanks to the support we got from Friend of the Congo, and we brought medicines, and we say, okay, GOVA is going to support the three women's and many other even, and we have pictures of that. So they were like excited, very, very happy. And not only we gave medicines, but also we gave like food and the clothes to everyone. And all of them are alive and in good health now. It's some very, very beautiful. They came to Tola, where GOVA as its headquarters, to say thank you, not only to GOVA, but thank you to Friend of the Congo, thank you to all supporters of Friend of the Congo, because they have their lives thanks to all those people.
Yeah, let's go. We love a happy story. We do. And is that something, do you see things like that often when you're traveling to the different villages? Like, people,
Yeah, so in terms of health, especially, we also meet like epidemics. People are dying, and don't forget that in the rural area, people are thinking of witchcraft. When people die, they say, "Oh, no, 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 it's a witch doctor or someone." But when you have the capacity of bringing a doctor there, you say, "No, no, no, it's epidemics of maybe sleeping sickness or diarrhea or things like that. It's not witchcraft." And when you bring medicines and talk to people, discuss with them, and say, oh, they can realize, no, 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 no. We just had the microbes. It wasn't the witchcraft. So it's very interesting, very, very interesting. And not only you are giving them, you are saving their lives, but you are helping them to change their mind. Instead of just relying on witchcraft, they can know about the microbe, about the disease, and precautions to be taken. So it's a very exciting, going through different villages. And to me, my best school I know I went to primary school, I went to secondary school, I went to universities everywhere. But to me, my best school has been the community because I learned a lot from there. Yeah,
Yeah, I love that. I love that. The best school has been the community. It's the people. Yeah.
yeah,
So one of the other things that I think people will want to know, and I say this in the sense that, um, hmm, I mean, there's obviously so many things. One of them is, okay, so here's two things. Because before we forget, or before I forget, and before we move on, before we end, I'd like for you to talk, share with us some more about what it means to support, like what kind of actions the people who are listening today, right? Like, what do they need to do? What do we need to do in order to support what you're doing better? In the sense of, I remember one of the last times you were on this platform, you mentioned gratitude, right? Because of course, and it's the title of this program, we've got gratitude and challenges. It's important to be grateful for what we've received, and we see that you're grateful for the support that you have received from Friends of the Congo. And I remember that last time you mentioned, but there is so much more to do, right? We have, we're able to provide a degree of support, but compared to the size of the challenges, that degree of support is not yet enough. So I'm curious as to, I mean, in your eyes, like what is the scale? What is the scope of the challenges that you're facing, and how can we help people understand that, understand what's at stake? Like, what are the difficult? You've already mentioned so many of them, so what more? Yeah, just, you know, how do we understand the size of this challenge that you're facing every day?
yeah. Thank you again, Brother Quajo, for that beautiful questions. In terms of the size, the challenges or the needs are huge, very huge. Let me take just one example. In the Kisangani town and around, you have like 100,000 internal refugees. And I'm sure that now there are more than that. How can you feed all those people? How? With how much thousands of US dollars? It's not easy at all. So problems are almost everywhere. So the option we have taken is to, to give capacity to local people, to different groups at the grassroots level. The capacity of what? The capacity of sometimes producing food by themselves, which is very, very sustainable. Because, yeah, Friend of the Congo can give us support for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years. But after that, what's going to happen? So we need to mobilize people and mobilize everyone, all stakeholder, to build some kind of a new spirit of relying on, people have to rely on themselves. Let me give you just an example in terms of solidarity regarding the consequences of the climate change, in terms of flooding. We are mobilizing communities or villages which are not flooded to support dear brothers and sisters in distress, in need, so that, um, of course, we can get support from outside, but we can also exercise ourselves, to promote solidarity locally. That's one important aspect. Another one is, to support different initiatives which can generate like income generating activities. Like now, the group of women are getting rice halal. So everyone is going to pay to you the rice halal. So that money has to pay for the fuel, to pay for the people who are working there, and to see how they can start breeding activities, things like that, for the community to grow. We as GOVA, we are relying on we are thinking of a big project of, cows breeding activities. So if you can start with 100 or 200 cows, after 2 years, we can support different communities by giving them like two, three, four cows, and they start there. They start in community A, and then we support the community B, and so on, so that maybe after 5, 10 years, we can be able to support thousand village, more than 1,500 villages, and promote the local economy, which is very, very critical, because they can't give you money every year, every month, every week, every day. So let us, change the model, change the paradigms in terms of supporting income generating activities at the community level, at the grassroots level.
Sorry, I didn't realize I was muted. But yes, yeah, and again, just so people understand, right? If you're listening, this is a critical part of the organizations who Friends of the Congo supports. The reason we support these organizations is not just because they're doing great work, right? Because everyone says that about the stuff that they're doing, right? Oh, they're doing great work. And then you look at the work and it's like, oh, is it really that great? Keeping in mind, one of the things about what Brother Samuel was sharing here about all of this, and this is a consistent thread throughout the organizations that Friends of the Congo supports, is that sustainability is a key feature. It's a feature of these projects. Like Brother Samuel said, how do you possibly feed 100,000 people, right? Over 100,000 people in these villages, right? And a lot of organizations will go in and they'll say, this is the way to do it, is that we're going to go in and we're going to feed 100,000 people. So, they go in and buy food and then they feed 100,000 people. And then those people eat. And then you have to do it all over again. And it's a self-perpetuating problem. Versus what Brother Samuel shared, which is this idea of creating food autonomy, right? Promoting food autonomy at the grassroots level. So instead of going in and, it's the proverbial, teach a man to fish versus like giving a man a fish. What's happening is, with the cows, with the chickens, they're they reproduce themselves, right, as sources of food, as resources for economic power and economic participation ability. And that's just, it's amazing to hear, right? Because when you think about how to solve problems on a large scale, again, the solution has to be local. Otherwise, it's not going to be sustainable. Otherwise, the problem is going to continue to perpetuate itself, as well as take on an era of dependency. So I appreciate you sharing all of that, Brother Samuel, because it demonstrates to people not just that your work is sustainable and moving in the direction of sustainability and even regenerativeness when we take in this ecological aspect, but that there's also a self-awareness at the institutional level of the kind of historical traps economically, as far as charity and like economic dependence is concerned, the self-awareness of these trends, as well as a drive to challenge that and change the trend, creating, instead of trends of dependency, creating trends of agency and sustainability. So that's really awesome. The Okay, so I'm looking at a message from Brother Maurice. Uh, Ask Samuel to talk about the sardine example. Are you familiar with what the sardine example? Brother Samuel, can you talk about the sardine example?
Oh yeah, it happens in Isangi territory. That it's a beautiful example of thinking. You're coming from all people from big organizations in the world, especially in the West. You know, sitting in very air conditions offices and trying to imagine solutions for people and look at people just as beneficiaries of their actions and not as actors. We need to change the model. We need to change that paradigms. It's very important. The example of the Saharian, the Isangi territory was flooded. More than 100 villages were in the water, and people lost everything. They lost their farms. They lost their crops. So they were looking for food. Um, the way that organizations from Belgium thought, they came to Isangi and brought cartons of sardines to support the people who are facing flooding. And people told them, no, we don't need sardines because from our windows, we can fish. We can get fish from our doors, from our windows. Congo River is full of fish. And how can you bring us cartons of sardines? What for? So it was a very, very big example of people, trying to think in the place of local communities. It doesn't work. It will not work. And poverty, poverty is not coming from our hands. Poverty comes. Our poverty is our head. You know, So we need to what I'm saying to stop thinking like that. That's the best example of sardines in Isangi, and people rejected it, and they say we can't take sardines because we are able to get our own fish from our windows, from our doors, because water is everywhere, and in this water you have a lot of fish.
That's that's a really classic example. It
And maybe I just wanted to add, it's a very big mistake of big organization. You can't change the situation of Tolau people or Isangi people from Washington, from Paris, from Berlin, from London. You can't, even if you call yourself specialists. No, you can't. We can't change the life of people only because of money. No, it depends on the way we are using money. It depends on the way we are looking at people, and they have to be actors of their own change and not beneficiaries of donors' ideas.
Let's go. This man would drop a mic. If he had the mic, he would drop that mic. Mic drop. Let's go. And I see we got Brother Maurice in here. Peace, peace, Brother Maurice. We cannot hear you. I can't hear you. Okay. Neither of us can hear you. No, not right now. But at least we can see you and you're looking good. No, can't hear you.
I don't hear Maurice.
Likewise. We'll do some troubleshooting. But yeah, thank you. This is incredible opportunity to hear from Brother Samuel. Again, if y'all appreciate this opportunity as you're listening, share. Let us know. Send your comments, send your questions, all that. I don't know how well this will be received, but as you were describing, Brother Samuel, as you were describing the work, really, as you were going through the sardine example, because it's almost insane to think about that, people would bring fish. It's such a good example that highlights, on one hand, the inefficacy of trying to solve other people's problems, right? I'm not going to have the solution to the problems that you're facing, especially if I don't even know you well enough to hear you out. If I haven't listened to you, how am I going to know what you need? And then it also highlights this simultaneous drive to solve other people's problems, right? So on the one hand, there's the inability to do it. And then on the other hand, there's this compulsion that I need to do it. Someone said, I need to go deliver fish, sardines, to these people who can fish outside. The issue is flooding. And it had me thinking on this piece around support. I think a lot of people feel like donating is not enough. How much impact can it have if I donate? Because they feel like they need to be there. And one of the things I hope people are getting out of this as they're listening to Brother Samuel share is that if it feels too easy, right? When we say that all you need to do is donate to help be a part of this movie, or all you need to do is educate other people, or all you need to do is advocate and sign this petition or send this letter. If that stuff feels too easy and you don't want to do it because it feels too easy, keep in mind the only context in which this work that we're asking y'all to do is easy is in the context where on the other side of that work is Congolese people actually solving the issues, implementing the solutions. Everything that Brother Samuel has described, that is the work, right? That is the internal work. And it makes sense that that's the work that would be difficult. So the work that we're doing out on the outside, it should be easy in a sense, So I just wanted to share that piece, because I think a lot of people for them it seems too good to be true almost. And it's not too good to be true. Y'all are working really hard, like insanely hard, day in and day out to implement these solutions, to understand the problems, to confront these systemic challenges. That's the work. What we're doing is what we can to support that work. You know, recognizing that oftentimes we live in the places that are have a really outsized influence on, you know, the politics and the policies that influence the daily conditions. So yes, again, just, you know, thank you so much, Brother Samuel, for doing that work, for being part of that work, for sharing the work with all of us. You know, it doesn't go unnoticed, and you know, it's incredible to hear. So you know, we got Brother Maurice may still be having some technical difficulties. Can I, you know, as we approach wrapping up, Brother Samuel, you mentioned the armed conflict earlier. And I think a lot of people don't have a context. You know, typically when we think of armed conflict in terms of what's happening in Congo, people think of the far eastern states. They think of the Kivus, North and South Kivu. They think of the territories to the north. Um, but where you are, as far as where GOVA operates, is much further to the east. Sorry, it's further to the west. It's not much further, but it's further to the west. Can you talk a little bit about the armed conflict, the context of that? Um, like, what are you referring to? Who is armed? Who is the conflict between? Why is it happening? And how is that affecting this displacement crisis?
Yeah, thank you, Brother Kwajo. Where we are operating, it's Isangi territory, which is which shared the border with the Kisangani town, located in the northeast. Kisangani is the northeast of the Congo. It's like 45 minutes flying, to Goma. It's not very far. Um, Generally, where the armed conflict is in the Congo, it's where the people are talking about the control of the natural resources. Generally, yeah, the conflict in the Congo, the killings in the Congo, raping women, and all those bad things we are going through is about the natural resources control. Um, for Kisangani area, mostly is about the land, the controlling the land. Some corporations and some politicians. What we call here big vegetables, the gros legumes in French, they are behind that. They are behind the conflict, trying to oppose different communities, training the youth um, to rape, to kill, and so on, and creating chaos, creating frustration for people to flee their land, for people to flee their villages, and for the land to be grabbed. That's the background of that armed conflict. Um, since the big world in the Congo, it used to be in North Kivu and South Kivu, but now it's almost spreading to different regions of the Congo. The North Katanga is not in peace. Equator province is not in peace. Part of the Chopo province is not in peace. Even around the capital city, which is Kinshasa, where I am now, They're talking about Mobondo on the Bandundu Road, and sometimes on Matadi Road towards um, um, Bakongo Road. So that's the background, the control of the natural resources. They are pushing people out of their land. They are creating chaos by killings, by raping, and all those awful things. To and people are forced to flee, to leave everything, to leave their farms, to leave their houses, and trying to find, like, to go to the city like Kisangani or Goma for them to be safe. That's the context. Unfortunately, once they are in the city, they are almost abandoned. They don't have get basic food, basic needs like food, medicines, and so on. So we are trying to mobilize locally at the church or the goodwill people to bring some food and so on, and also thanks to the support we are getting from Friend of the Congo. But in terms of approach, our unique approach, we don't need just to consider all those people like fish in an aquarium or animals in the zoo, just to feed them, to give them bananas, or beans or rice and so on. No, those people have to go back to their places to produce their own food. They were living in dignity, so they have to go to their place. If they go back to their places, they will be able to produce their own food, to to start to resume different activities for them to live in dignity. So for them to go back, we need to promote what we call a community dialogue, trying to involve everyone, starting by the army, the police officials, the local administration, the youth leader. Why youth? Because the youth are being used to kill. The youth are being used to rape. You know, the youth are being trained in banditism, and some are being paid to do that dirty job. So targeting youth leaders is very, very critical. So for us, we need to carve the community solution for bringing peace. We can't rely on the UN. They have been in the Congo more than 25 years, so we don't have solution. We can't rely only on Congolese authorities because some of them are part of the problem. So we need to carve the solution coming from the grassroots. That's our approach as GOVA. That's our approach as Basandja. Yeah,
Samuel,
I don't
can
know
you hear me
if
okay?
hello.
Can you hear me okay, Samuel?
Yes, now, yeah, yeah, I can hear
Oh,
you. Yeah.
super, super. You just laid out the raison d'être of Basanja, the way in which we Friends of the Congo collaborates with GOVA and Basanja. I don't know if Kwadwo asked you to share with the audience, what is Basanja, how Basanja was founded, and the scope of Basanja. I don't know if you had a chance to share that as yet.
And now, I think he asked other questions. Maybe he was about to ask it. Yeah. So, do you want me
Okay.
to go? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just briefly, because when it's important for people to understand that we're not just talking about supporting one organization or two organizations, but we're supporting a coalition of organizations, a broad cross section of communities throughout the Congo, in every corner of the Congo, in the north, where you are, northeast, in the east, in the south, in the west. And we're talking about a country the size of Western Europe, with 400 plus different cultural groups. So it demands that, uh, addressing the challenges, it demands that you form a coalition. And Basandja is one such coalition that's tapped into grassroots organizing, frontline organizing throughout the country. So I think it's important for people to understand that, and for you to share with them, uh, what Basandja is, how Basandja operates, and why Basandja. And just wanted to add that I know you kept saying thanks to the support of Friends of the Congo, thanks to the support of Friends of the Congo, but for all intents and purposes, Friends of the Congo is a conduit. We've raised hundreds of thousands of dollars this year, but we raised it through people, thousands of people giving $20. You know, and so we aggregate that. We're not the ones really raising the money. It's the people who are giving the money because of the work that you're doing, and we aggregate it and make sure you get it. You know, so it's really thanks to the people, thanks to ordinary people in just different parts of the world, and some exceptional people. Like our brother in Toronto. He knows who he is, who stepped up in an incredible way to provide support directly to GOVA. So uh, Friends of the Congo is holding space for individuals throughout the globe who want to support GOVA, who want to support the Basandja Coalition, and we assure that whatever they send to us for you and the coalition, that you get it. So it's critical that we thank the people, and not so much, friends of the Congo, because it's not our money. It's the people's money that's helping in providing you with resources, not in the form of aid really, but as Quadra said earlier, it's a regenerative giving, because you take those resources and you multiply them. You work in a way, organize in a way that you have greater impact than the dollars that you're actually getting in. So the funds that are coming in are helping to scale and grow and expand the work that GOVA and the Basandja Coalition are doing. So maybe you can just share a little bit about the Basandja Coalition, and the work that you do in really all four corners of the Congo: north, south, east, and west.
Yeah, thank you very much, Brother Maurice, and thank you for being very humble. Make sure, I think
No,
you came
no,
a little
being
bit
real.
late.
It's not humility. It's the truth. It's the truth.
Yeah,
Believe me.
yeah, but I think I express our gratitude as Gova, as Basanja, to Friend of the Congo, but also to all everyone who is giving, who is supporting Friend of the Congo. I mentioned it before, answering any questions. You were not there, but yeah, it's very important to remind me to always thank the contributors, people who are supporting Friend of the Congo. And yeah, we have to also, to be honest, and thank Friend of the Congo, because once somebody is sending $20, $500, 2,000 US dollars, it reaches the communities, which is very different from big organizations. So we have to thank Friend of the Congo for that, for facilitating the access to that money. You deserve it. Yeah. About the Basandja Coalition, first of all, it's a coalition of, local organizations, from local communities or indigenous people, organizations which are relying on, local capacities. Why? Because We don't think the critical change in the Congo will come from San Francisco or Atlanta or Paris, or the critical change will come from Congolese themselves, will come from people living here. And most of big organizations, big institutions, I was criticizing it regarding the fish example, the sardines example, thinking people sitting in air conditioned offices and trying to figure out solutions to people. So we can't make a critical change without the participation of local communities or indigenous people, especially regarding question of protecting the forest and so on. So people used to organize big meetings, um, break up or cup and so on, and trying to find solutions or to imagine actions without involving local people. To us, it was insulting, and we decide, group of organization relying on local capacities, relying on local knowledge to provoke real change. So we create what we call the Basandja. Basandja, it's a Topoke world, which means the traditional way, the traditional code of protecting the forest, the river, and the biodiversity. So we are present now in North Kivu, in Chopo province, in the west, in the south of the country, Katanga, Kolwezi, and so on. So we are covering like 10% of the Congo. And the size of the Congo is like West Europe, 2,345,000 square kilometers. So we are deciding to grow, to go bigger, and bigger, and cover the Congo, and even go out of the Congo. We have partners like in the Congo Brazzaville, in Gabon, in Central Africa Republic, in Cameroon, and so on. So it's very important. We want to protect the Congo Basin Rainforest, but we can't do it without the real involvement of local people. And that's why we decided to create the Basandja Coalition, protecting our environmental, relying on the local knowledge which is there, and trying to push people, at the front line, for them to be the master of the change to be done, and not to mere beneficiaries of other people's actions. I
Mm-hmm.
think, in short, that's what I can say about Basandja Coalition.
Yeah, no, right on, right on. Critical, cutting edge coalition that is, when we say Congo is changing, we're talking about the Basandja Coalition in particular, because you're providing a voice for local indigenous communities. You're empowering local communities throughout the Congo, and the change is coming from the bottom up. So that kind of agency being exercised and connecting with people around the globe who are in
Exactly.
solidarity with the Basandja Coalition, Congo is changing.
Exactly.
Because and one of the ways Congo is changing, as Brother Quadro is, fond to say, is that people's understanding, what the understanding that you're bringing, Samuel, that there is agency unfolding, right, at the local
Mhm.
level. Because often when people look at Congo, it's like, people, they have the cameras and they say, look, see, these people are helpless. We need you to help them. No, you know, these people are organizing, they're movement building. We're inviting you in to join in this movement, to join in this organization effort, to complement, to match the energy and agency that's taken place in the front lines of the conflict, in the Bulengo camp, right, and around North Kivu and around Goma, to join in the organizing taking place in Kolwezi and in Lumata, in the in the mining areas and in the old Katanga, or to join in the organizing that's unfolding in the in the streets of Kinshasa and in the deep rainforest. So that's really critical for people to understand that. And you said it. There's a when you were here, Samuel, in the tour, the Basandja Free Congo tour, that captured you on video in New York, and you were saying that we don't want charity, we want solidarity, right? Uh, I know we've been on for quite a bit with Brother Quadri. Samuel, if you would, just for us to wrap up, just share with us your experience of the Basandja tour. We did some 10 cities or so over 2 months. What was that like for you to actually meet some of these people who've been supporting GOVA, who've been supporting the Basandja Coalition, and for you to engage in direct conversation, exchange with them, uh, have the opportunity to thank them for their support and actually build and establish some new relationships. What was that like for you on the Basandja tour that we just did in the past couple months?
Yeah, thank you, Maurice, for the beautiful questions. And yeah, I think it was. It's not the very first time for me to be to travel to the United States.
Mm-hmm.
But this last trip is really the highlight.
Mm.
Yeah, and I would like to see this opportunity to thank everyone who contributed, and who made it possible to travel to United States, to go to different places, different states, Washington, D.C., Atlanta in Georgia, California, L.A., San Francisco, Chicago in Illinois. So thank you so much, because it was a very big opportunity. Sorry. It was a very big opportunity for us to meet the American audience, to share with them some critical change. First of all, I was very happy because it seems that people don't know exactly what is happening in the Congo. The tragedy happening in the Congo, raping, the killings, and the land grabbing as, the base of instability in the Congo is not very well known. And it was an opportunity for us to raise the grassroots voice about what is happening. And also we have been given the chance, the opportunity of sharing with people, telling people that helping the Congo is like helping the entire planet. As the Congo is the second lung of our planet, so everyone, our world, our planet needs a stable Congo, and everyone to participate, to be in solidarity with Congolese, to be in solidarity with organizations supporting the work in the Congo. And I think in New York, in LA, in Francisco, especially California in general, and the different places, people, they really paid attention to what we said, to what we shared. And I think the solidarity for the Congo, and not only for the Palestine, I appreciated what is going on. I attended the march in
Washington,
against
D.C.
in DC, Washington DC,
Yeah, the
against
Palestinian Solidarity March.
exactly. I really appreciate it, and I hope Congo will be part of that that
Yeah,
global solidarity.
yeah, and
So
Samuel, a lot of the places that we went to, we were hosted by Palestinian solidarity networks and formations, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
Up in
realize it.
Oxnard, California, in Ontario,
Exactly.
California, folks were
Yeah.
organizing around Palestine. They created space for the Congo. So that's one of the big takeaways from the tour. The solidarity that's coming from our Palestinian brothers and sisters and those who are in solidarity with them, those who are organizing with them. It's like we're in a moment of collective liberation. And it's not just, those aren't just words, they're actions. We see Palestinian youth movements, solidarity youth movements throughout the country, even when we went to Canada. So that's a really critical uh, point that you raised. You joined in the march in Washington D.C., the Palestinian Solidarity March that took place while you're in the U.S. So that's a really important point that you bring up. The fact that Palestinian brothers and sisters, those who are in support of them, are showing up for the Congo in a very big way, and we're certainly grateful for that, and that solidarity is being returned as well as you demonstrated by being a part of that on the streets with them in Washington D.C. while you were here.
Yeah, it was really a very big opportunity we have been given, and I really hope, even when I came back to Kinshasa, I'm speaking and from Kinshasa now, I was discussing with people to contribute is at maybe at the government level or on NGOs level to to share with their different audiences the necessity of bringing Congo to the global solidarity. It's urgent, and the country has much to gain in that way. Because
Absolutely.
yeah. So we have to work. We have to continue. We have to nurture that relations we made in different places, and we have to make some kind of follow up.
Without a doubt, without a doubt, and we're doing that. And thank you, Samuel, for following up because you just got back to the Congo. You were out on a tour for a few months, and then just always so gracious with your time, making yourself available to be on a platform to engage with people who want to know more about the Congo, who want to do more around the Congo. So just truly, I'm thankful to you for that. Thank you to everyone who's tuning in. We're in our end of the year fund drive. We encourage everybody to visit us on Instagram and on Facebook at Congo Friends to support the end of the year fund drive. Also go to freecongo.org. That's a stable or staple location for you to get involved. And as you can tell, you hear from Samuel, the contributions you make, the donations you make, the support you make is going directly to the ground to support folks in Tolau, Imbolo, Isangi District, Kisangani, Chopo Province, where people are being displaced, where floods are overtaking communities, and GOVA and other members of the community are responding in just some courageous way, actually building bridges in order to transport materials and equipment to dozens of villages who've been flooded out. So just incredible work. So your investment in frontline organizations such as GOVA and coalitions, the Basandja Coalition, just making a tremendous difference on the ground. And if you had any doubts about that, listening to Samuel today should dispel any of those doubts. So we continue the march forward. We ask you to continue to support Basandja Coalition, to support GOVA, support frontline organizations that are part of the Basandja Coalition, and we'll be back with you. Samuel, I don't know if you wanted to say a few last words, and then we'll just wrap it up for the day. Did you hear me? Looks like he may have been frozen. All right, looks like right on time. Samuel froze there. So we're going to leave it there. Again, support the end of the year campaign. Today is Giving Tuesday. Give, not just to Friends of the Congo and Basandja Coalition, just support the work that's being done on the ground in the Congo and elsewhere where the need is huge, is enormous. So Samuel, I was asking if you want to just say one last word before we leave.
Yeah, thank you, Maurice. I think my last words I would like to tell all supporters of Friend of the Congo, giving $5, $20, $50, $100, it's very critical because it is making the critical change at the grassroots level. Everything you give is making some differences. I can think of, three women about to die for $20 only. That thanks to your support, we saved their lives. And we have a lot of thousands of examples like that. I think your support is better than big support of big organization because money is not going to the grassroots. Your support is coming to us, is making the critical change we need, is participating to that. So thank you very much. Please continue to support us through Friend of the Congo. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back with some more lives this week. Support the end of the year campaign at Congo Friends on Twitter, at Congo Friends on Instagram, at Congo Friends on Facebook. All right. Peace, be well.
Yeah, thank you.